Final update. At my daughter's birthday party, she said, "Thank you, Dad, for the new car. But the only way you can make me happy is when you leave me alone." Everyone laughed and cheered on. I smiled and immediately moved out. Then I vanished. What happened next was rather unexpected. I will tell you everything. You've always been there for me. You gave me everything, things I didn't earn, things I didn't thank you for. I got used to you fixing everything, to you showing up, to you forgiving me without asking me to grow. And when you finally didn't, it broke something in me. I deserve that break, but it still hurt. I'm not asking for the car back or the house or the money. I just want to know if one day, maybe we can talk again, when you're ready. I love you, even if I never showed it right. And I'm sorry. I really am. Love, Maya. I read it twice, then a third time. My hands trembled, not from anger, but from the weight of it, the honesty, the humility. It wasn't a perfect apology, but it was real. And for the first time in weeks, I didn't feel rage pressing at my ribs. Just grief, that old, slow-burning ache of watching someone you love finally see themselves clearly after all the damage is done. I set the letter down, leaned back in my chair, and stared out the window. My mind flickered with memories, her little hand in mine on the first day of kindergarten, her screaming at 13 that I didn't get it, her quiet, grateful hug when I paid off her student loans. The roller coaster of raising her, beautiful, exhausting, filled with sharp turns I never saw coming. I didn't call her. I didn't write back. Not because I was still angry, but because change, real change, needs time. And letters are only words until actions show up to match them. I wasn't going to open my doors again just because she opened her heart once. But I could honor the gesture without reopening the wound. Later that week, I stopped by the DMV. I signed over the title to her old 2011 Honda Civic, the car she drove back in college. I had it in storage for years. It needed new tires and a fresh battery, but it still ran well, reliable, unflashy. It felt fitting, a symbol of responsibility, of earning one's keep. I didn't include a note, no message, no guilt, just the keys and paperwork left in a padded envelope and mailed to the address her mother gave me when I called to confirm where she was staying. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was something. A small door, cracked, not open. I expected her to text when she got it, to say thank you, maybe even ask why, but days passed. Then a week. Nothing came, no message, no call, just silence. And weirdly, that silence didn't hurt. It felt mature, like maybe she understood that this wasn't her moment to speak again, but mine to breathe. I spent more time outdoors after that. Started walking in the mornings, joined a local chess club, nothing fancy, just old men in ball caps talking trash over worn boards. One of them, Gary, asked if I had kids. I paused for a second before answering. "I do," I said. "One daughter." "Close?" he asked. I thought about it. "We used to be. Then we weren't. And now maybe we're figuring it out." He nodded like that made perfect sense. One night, I stood in my garage organizing old tools and found the birthday card I never gave her, the one I bought before the party. It was still in the glove box of my truck, sealed, written, forgotten. I opened it. Inside was a simple message: "No matter how far we drift, you'll always be my daughter. Love, Dad." I stared at those words and realized I still meant them. But meaning something doesn't mean surrendering your peace. It means holding space, creating distance with dignity, letting love exist without letting it bleed you dry. I slid the card back into the envelope and filed it away in a drawer, not to give, just to keep, a reminder that love doesn't always come with reunions. Sometimes it just comes with clarity. The silence stopped feeling sharp after a while. It softened into something almost comfortable, like an old sweater you wear around the house, not stylish, not warm enough for the coldest days, but familiar. I didn't know if Maya would ever write again. I didn't know if I'd ever open another letter if she did. But I knew this: I didn't need to hear from her to have closure. I didn't need a reunion or a tearful embrace or some movie scene redemption to know I had made the right call. Sometimes all a man needs is his own damn peace. I had spent so many years reacting, fixing, funding, forgiving that it took real effort to just be, to sit in my own skin without needing someone else to reflect my worth back to me. That was the hardest part: how much of my identity I had tied to being her provider, her protector, her plan B. I had trained myself to live for her needs. Without that role, I had to figure out who I was when no one was watching, when no one needed saving. Mornings became a ritual: coffee at 6 a.m., the paper in hand, radio low in the background. I started cooking again, simple stuff like skillet eggs, bacon, sourdough toast with real butter. I'd forgotten how much joy there was in feeding myself, not for anyone else, just me. I even took up woodworking in the garage, built a small bench, a planter box, a coat rack. It didn't matter if the corners weren't perfect. It was mine, my hands, my effort, my life. One afternoon, I walked past Maya's old bedroom, still mostly untouched, and paused at the door. The posters on the wall had faded. Her bookshelf stood half empty, like someone pressed pause on her teenage years and never hit play again. I thought about taking everything down, painting it fresh, turning it into an office, but I didn't. Not because I was waiting for her to come back, but because that space reminded me of where we started, before everything got messy, before money became love's substitute, and silence became our default language. It reminded me that we had once been close, that it wasn't all bad. She'd made her choices, and I'd made mine, but the love hadn't vanished. It had just changed shape. Serena came by a few weeks later with a batch of muffins and her usual side eye. "You look stable," she said with a smirk. "Don't sound too surprised." She sat on the porch swing and kicked her feet like she used to as a kid. "She's working part-time at a nonprofit now, living with a friend. Said she's trying to get her feet under her." "That's good," I said, keeping my voice neutral. She still hasn't reached out, huh? I shook my head. Would you want her to? I sipped my coffee and thought about it. Thought about what I'd say if Maya showed up tomorrow with a suitcase full of humility and hope. I don't know, I said finally. I think I'd need her to show up different, not polished, not perfect, just honest and willing to do the work. Serena nodded. She said she's trying to become the kind of daughter she should have been. I didn't respond because hope is a quiet thing. You don't speak it too loudly or it disappears. Later that night, I walked out to the back porch, lit a small fire in the pit, and watched the flames eat through the dry wood. The stars were out, clear, sharp, uncaring. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the old birthday photo I kept folded in my wallet. Maya, age 5, frosting on her cheek, laughing with wild abandon. Before she learned the art of sarcasm, before I learned that love couldn't buy loyalty, I whispered, I still love you, kid. Not to her, to the memory of her, to the version I raised, not the one I lost, and maybe, just maybe, to the one she was still trying to become. But I didn't pick up the phone. I didn't write another letter. I didn't tell Serena to pass on a message. Because part of being a parent, maybe the hardest part, is knowing when to let go. Not out of punishment, but out of respect for her journey, for mine, for the space we both needed to finally grow. If Maya ever came back, I'd listen. But I wouldn't beg. And if she didn't, I'd be okay. I had found peace in the quiet. Not because I stopped loving her, but because I finally started loving myself. Sometimes walking away is the bravest kind of love. What would you have done in this father's shoes? Share your thoughts in the comments. Whether you've been the parent, the child, or caught somewhere in between. If this story made you feel seen, hit that like button. And for more raw, real-life family stories that don't shy away from hard truths, make sure to subscribe. Your voice and your boundaries matter. See you soon in the next.